The Vostok-3 Ka space capsule was launched from Baikonur Cosmodrome on April 12, 1961, with Soviet cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin aboard, making him the first human to reach orbital velocity around the Earth and to complete a full orbit around the Earth. Gagarin parachuted to the ground separately from his capsule after ejecting at 7 km altitude. Yuri Gagarin, 27, was chosen as the prime pilot of Vostok-1, with German Titov and Grigory Nelubov as backups. These assignments were formally made on April 8, 4 days before the mission, but Gagarin had been a favorite among the cosmonaut candidates for at least several months. The letters Cesar were hand-painted onto Gagarin's helmet by engineer German Lebedev during transfer to the launch site. In an unusual move, a code to unlock the controls was placed in an onboard envelope for Gagarin's use in case of emergency. 278 prior to the flight, Kamanin and others told Gagarin the code anyway. At 10 o'clock, Gagarin and Titov were given a final review of the flight plan. Gagarin's biographers Doran and Bizany say that neither Gagarin nor Titov slept that night. At 5:30 Moscow time, on the morning of April 12, 1961, both Gagarin and his backup Titov were woken. Launch would not occur for another 2 hours, and during the time Gagarin chatted with the mission's main Capcom, as well as chief designers Sergei Korolyov, Nikolai Kamanin, and a few others. Following a series of tests and checks, about 40 minutes after Gagarin entered the spacecraft, its hatch was closed. Gagarin, on the other hand, was described as calm. About half an hour before launch his pulse was recorded at 64 beats per minute. Korolyov radioed, preliminary stage, intermediate, main, lift off. We wish you a good flight. Everything is all right. Gagarin replied, let's go. 6:10 The payload shroud covering Vostok-1 was released, uncovering a window at Gagarin's feet, with an optical orientation device visor. 6:13 Gagarin reported, the flight is continuing well. I can see the Earth. The visibility is good. I almost see everything. There's a certain amount of space under cumulus cloud cover. I continue the flight. Everything is good. Gagarin reported, everything is working very well. All systems are working. Let's keep going. 6:15 3 minutes into the burn of the final rocket stage, Gagarin radioed, Zarya 1, I can't hear you very well. I feel fine. I'm in good spirits. I'm continuing the flight. Vostok-1 started to move out of radio range of the Baikonur ground station. Gagarin radioed, the lights are on the descent mode monitor. I'm feeling fine, and I'm in good spirits. Cockpit parameters. Pressure 1, humidity 65, temperature 20, pressure in the compartment 1, first automatic 155, second automatic 155, pressure in the retro rocket system 320 atmospheres. 6:25 As Vostok-1 began its diagonal crossing of the Pacific Ocean from Kamchatka Peninsula to the southern tip of South America, Gagarin requested information about his orbital parameters. What can you tell me about the flight? What can you tell me? 6:31 Gagarin transmitted to the Khabarovsk ground station, I feel splendid, very well, very well, very well. Give me some results on the flight. Gagarin transmitted again, I feel very good. Give me your data on the flight. Vostok-1 then passed out of VHF range of the Khabarovsk ground station. Gagarin crossed into night, northwest of the Hawaiian Islands. 6:53 The Khabarovsk ground station sent Gagarin via HF radio, by order of number 33, the transmitters have been switched on, and we are transmitting this. The flight is proceeding as planned in the orbit as is calculated. Vostok-1 was now known to be in a stable orbit, Gagarin acknowledged. 7:18 Gagarin sent another spacecraft status message, not received by ground stations. 7:23 Gagarin sent another spacecraft status message, not received by ground stations. At 7:55 Coordinated Universal Time, when Vostok-1 was still 7 kilometers from the ground, the hatch of the spacecraft was released, and 2 seconds later Gagarin was ejected. Gagarin's parachute opened almost immediately, and about 10 minutes later, at 8:05 Coordinated Universal Time, Gagarin landed. Gagarin later recalled, when they saw me in my spacesuit in the parachute of banalities prepared by anonymous speechwriters, taped much earlier in Moscow. FAI officially recognized 3 space records claimed by Gagarin. Duration in orbital flight -108 minutes, greatest altitude in Earth orbital flight -327 kilometers, greatest mass lifted in Earth orbital flight -4,725 kilograms. 283 Although some contemporary Soviet sources stated that Gagarin had parachuted separately to the ground, the Soviet Union officially insisted that he had landed with the Vostok. The government forced the cosmonaut to lie in press conferences, and the FAI certified the flight. The Soviet Union did not admit until 1971 that Gagarin had ejected and landed separately from the Vostok descent module. 283 Gagarin spaceflight records were nonetheless certified and reaffirmed by the FAI, which revised its rules, and acknowledged that the crucial steps of the safe launch, orbit, and return of the pilot had been accomplished. Gagarin is internationally recognized as the first human in space and first to orbit the Earth. In 2011, documentary filmmaker Christopher Riley partnered with European Space Agency astronaut Paolo Nespoli to record a new film of what Gagarin would have seen of the Earth from his spaceship, by matching historical audio recordings to video from the International Space Station following the ground path taken by Vostok-1. Gagarin's start, short video by Roscosmos including the preparation, Gagarin's flight, and Gagarin back on Earth. Transcript of Gagarin's radio conversations with ground stations, starting 2 hours before launch, and other related documents.